everybody, this is Hua. Welcome back to my storytelling YouTube channel. Today I am here to read the final chapter of Hidden Desires. I hope that you have been enjoying this story. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
I'm hoping what I said could make you change your mind, though it doesn't really matter when my hands are tied. I'm trying to walk across the bridges that I've burned. My only way to you is gone, the tide has turned. So give me a light, show me what I need. I know I'm blind.
The topic of me spending the night with Aunt Justine's friends wasn't brought up when I arrived home an hour later. My parents were packing and getting ready to leave. They seemed to have dropped the idea of me being in trouble after I clearly stated that Dawson and I were over. My aunt and I both sent my parents to the airport, where I hugged them tight and wished them a safe flight home. Once we returned back to her house, the discussion was laid raw on the table. "I can't remember what happened last night," I said as I ran a hand through my hair. "Please, tell me what Dawson told me isn't true about Brandon." My aunt sighed deeply. "I normally do not always side with Dawson, but this time I have to say I'm glad he was there, because things could have been a lot worse. I don't know what I would have done if Brandon had finished what he intended to do." I shut my eyes and started to cry. "Why me? Do I have a sign on my head that says attack me?" She pulled me into her arms. "It's not your fault. He was a very cowardly man who thought he could put his hands on you that way. I'm so sorry." I pulled away. "Dawson is making my head spin. I'm not sure what to do." "Start over. Don't agree to anything to what Dawson says, and don't talk to Brandon anymore. Just be by yourself. Take some time to put everything back together." I nodded and hugged her again. The evening was lonely as I lay in bed wondering where I would go from here. Nothing in my head made sense anymore, and the reality was worse. I felt as if my life had been robbed from me, and I was living a story that wasn't mine. I had been crying more than I knew how, and the laughter inside of me died. Was this what they called heartbroken? Was this how it felt to have everything yanked out from underneath you? The more I thought about this, the more I wanted to run far away. The house was silent as I drowned in my thoughts, and just when I thought I would slip into craziness, I heard his voice call out my name. I sat up in bed, my heart quickening in pace and my hands sweating. I walked to the balcony and saw him standing below. "Jenna, we need to talk. Let me in or I will climb up." I felt my eyes fill up with tears. "Go away, Dawson. You've done enough damage. Leave me alone." "Fine," he said as he took off his jacket. He began to climb up the metal bars and reached me shortly. He jumped over the ledge, and as he extended his arms out to hold me, I backed up, leaving a distance between us. The look on his face told me he was hurt as he dropped his arms down. "Jenna," he whispered, "don't do this to us." Sobbing, I replied, "There is no us." Shaking his head, he whispered, "No, don't let us die." "But you were the one who killed us. You killed us the moment you lied to me, Dawson. You killed me the moment you used me to fill that void you couldn't forgive in your heart. Your past killed me. Let's just forget that we ever knew each other." Tears fell from his eyes, and he let out a sob that didn't even sound human. "You can't take my heart away with you. It will kill me, Jenna. Please don't. I've never had to beg anyone in my life, and I'm begging you now. Please, come back to me." I shut my eyes and turned away from him. "I can't, Dawson. The pain is too much. You're too broken for me. This love is too toxic for me. I will drown." He crossed to me and wrapped his arms around me. He tightened his hold on me, and I felt my heart rip into shreds. "No," he cried. "Don't leave me, Jenna. Don't you dare leave me. I know you love me. I know you do." I bit my lower lip and sobbed. "I'll always love you, Dawson. You were the first of my everything. You broke the mold, and you broke me. But I can't be with you. I will hate you, and so will you." I pried his hands free from me, and I walked to the door. I opened it, and he fell to his knees. I turned around to glance once at him. Goodbye, Dawson. I walked through the door and I heard his howl as he shouted my name. I held my heart together as I looked forward to the door that led me to escape his hold on me.
I'm hoping what I said could make you change your mind. Though it doesn't really matter when my hands are tied. I'm trying to walk across the bridges that I've burned. My only way to you is gone, the tide has turned. So give me a light, show me what I need. I know I'm blind, but I hear symphonies of your heartbeat.
4 years later, I believe that there is a good inside every person, even if that person has done something wrong at one point. The reason why I began this journey was because I wanted to give everyone a chance to redeem their goodness. At one point in my life, I was deeply depressed and I wondered why I was living. I even thought about taking my own life. I thought about why I was choosing to live. What was my purpose? And while sitting at a bench feeling sorry for myself, I watched a couple jogging by with a stroller and a little child sucking his thumb waved at me. The joy of a child who is so innocent waving at me while me, an adult, was feeling as if the world was at an end made me realize what a waste I was doing to myself. I got up that day and I decided to make a difference right then and there. It's been over 4 years since I opened up Heaven's Eyes, and since then we have helped over hundreds of young women who have suffered from depression and given them a purpose in life. We have also contributed to charities that believe in the same purpose as us. Throughout the 4 years, it has not been easy, but together with all of you here today, we have made it possible. Today, I stand before you and I want to say thank you for all of your support and contributions. Tonight's event is for you. We celebrate not only the success of Heaven's Eyes, but you who have helped us reach our goals. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts and enjoy tonight's event. A rush of applause surrounded me as I watched the audience erupted in happiness. And then everyone stood up, and I felt a rush of achievement. I saw my parents and Aunt Justine standing in front. Both my mother and aunt were dabbing at their eyes as my father smiled proudly. I waved and stepped off the stage as a crowd ran to me with cameras. I smiled and posed with a few people and answered a few reporters' questions before my mother came to escort me away to the privacy of a small room in the back. Once there, we hugged. I'm so proud of you, she said as she pulled away. You were shining brilliantly up there. Thank you, Mom. I couldn't have done it without you and Dad. You both were the backbone to this. Smiling, she touched my cheek. I'm so proud of you. Don't forget that. Now, enjoy a bit of privacy while you recollect yourself and then come back to the public. I nodded as she walked out, leaving me alone. I sat down on the couch and a smile formed on my lips. 4 years ago, when I came back from Paris, my heart was more broken than I thought. I was so depressed I considered taking my own life. I had given myself to a man who clearly could not make me better than I was. One day, while sitting on the bench, I saw the toddler who waved at me and saw how beautiful life was through his eyes. Why was I feeling so sorry for myself when this life held all I could be and more? I made a promise to myself that day to get up and to be more than I set out to be. Why was I letting a man rule over my heart when I didn't even need him? I was fine before him, and without him, I would continue to thrive. I had erased him out of my life, and that was when I grew into a strong woman. The knock on the door startled me, and I got up to open it. As soon as I saw who was behind the door, my heart slammed into my rib cage. Standing before me was Dawson, older but still as handsome. He was sporting a black tux, and his eyes spoke volume of the same passion I once knew long ago. Dawson, I said with no emotion. You still remember my name. I guess my heart shouldn't ache that much. I smiled. How could I forget? Come on in. I opened the door wider, and he walked in. As I closed the door and turned to him, he placed his hands in his pockets and stared at me. What are you doing here? I asked. I came on a whim because I was bored. Really, I asked, raising my eyebrows. No, of course not. I came to find you. You're pretty hard to find until you made yourself famous. I shrugged. Well, being famous is a small price to pay with what my purpose in life is. How can I help you? He narrowed his eyes. I can see that I have no effect on you. At least not anymore. I just wanted to congratulate you personally, Jenna. I feel I owe that much to you. You've done very well for yourself. The work you've created is deeply appreciated among many. I'm very proud of you. My heart swelled from his words. Thank you. That means a lot to me. I love hearing how much my work has impacted the lives of others. Please stay and enjoy the party. He knew that was my cue for him to leave. I know you are not the same woman I met in Paris. You stand pretty strong on your feet today. I came to tell you that meeting you and knowing you changed me. You changed me for the better, and I wanted to thank you. Without you in my life, I wouldn't have seen the poison I was feeding myself. So, again, thank you, Jenna. I walked to him and placed a kiss on his cheek. Dawson, you are you are very welcome. I'm glad that our encounter with each other has changed both of us. I've come to realize that sometimes we meet people for a reason. You were needed in my life in order for me to create something as good as big as this. So thank you, honestly, for giving me that push. He held my hand in his and smiled. I just wanted you to know that everything we've shared will not be forgotten, and that you will always remain a good part of my life. And thanks to you, my heart is healed. I smiled, feeling warmth. I'm glad to hear that, really. After you left me, I was a mess. Don't ignore that part. But the mess I was in made me see the wicked ways of my life. I had to put my life in order together. I had to work on a lot of things. I said my goodbye to Heather finally and let go of my guilt. Tears filled my eyes. Please understand, Dawson, that I hold you in the highest honor. You were the first man I ever loved, but my heart was not stable to deal with all the ordeals that came with you. I was not healthy, and after leaving you, it made me realize how broken I was with you. I had to cut you out. Today I stand before you a changed woman in all ways. I respect you for the changes you've made and hope that you will discover more of yourself in positive ways. If you should ever need anything, please remember I am but a phone call away. He nodded and reached out to hug me. We held each other for a long time, and then he released me. He kissed my cheek once and left. I watched him disappear down the hall, and my heart wished him nothing but the best. Thank you so much for tuning into Hidden Desires. I hope that you really enjoy the story with me. Look forward to the new series that will be coming out shortly.
I'm hoping what I said could make you change your mind. Though it doesn't really matter when my hands are tied. I'm trying to walk across the bridge